The film begins in space with a destroyed spacecraft, and inside it, there was a scientist named Atkins. She and her team were testing a small mouse, but the experiment failed. So the mouse turned into a huge animal that destroyed the vehicle and killed its entire crew. No one survived except Atkins, who was able to save her life until that moment, and was heading to the capsule to escape. She called the control center and told them what happened, but her manager Claire refused to open the door to the rescue capsule. I ordered her to collect the samples first, and said to her, either you run away with the samples, or you die here. Atkins had no other choice. So I went to the laboratory and took 3 samples of a substance called CRISPR. At that moment, the giant mouse arrived, and it turned out that it was the CRISPR material that turned him into a fierce and huge animal. Atkins quickly rushed towards the escape capsule, and Claire finally opened the door for her, so she was able to enter successfully. The mouse tried to break the door of the capsule, but Atkins separated it from the vehicle and set off towards the ground. From inside, she saw the vehicle completely destroyed. Unfortunately, due to the intensity of the fire, the glass of the capsule broke. Atkins died, and the 3 samples fell towards the planet. On Earth, we get to know a team of 4 people, whose leader is Dr. Davis. He took his team to the San Diego Sanctuary where some gorillas live. For the first time, the team was watching gorillas up close. There was a new gorilla who joined the reserve called Pavo. He looked very aggressive and disturbed the rest of the gorillas, because he had never interacted with animals like him. Davis asked his team to exercise caution while dealing with him. He advanced a little and entered the reserve and tried to calm Pavo using sign language. And his method succeeded and calmed down. But suddenly a giant gorilla named Mac appeared and Pafu got angry again. Davis ordered his team to stay in their places. But Connor didn't hear the words, so he was scared and ran away. Pavo ran behind him to attack him, but Mac walked in and pushed him away. Pafu got scared of Mac and backed back. It turns out that Mac is a very close friend of. Davis reassured his colleagues and told them that Mac was very kind and liked to joke and laugh. He asked Mac to be nice to Pavo because he was still young, and he told him that the hunters killed his entire family and asked him to welcome him. Mac agreed. Mac turned out to be the last remaining gorilla of his species. After they finished their work, Davis left in his car and returned home. At night, we saw the 3 specimens descending from the Atkins capsule. The first one fell near a herd of wolves, so one of them inhaled the whole matter. The second fell into a crocodile lake, and the alligator swallowed the entire sample. The third fell in the gorilla reserve, where Mac smelled the entire material. The next day, Davis rushed to the reserve after being informed that Mac was not well and acting strangely. His colleague Nelson told him that Mac broke into the bear's cage. When they went to the cage together, they found that Mac had already killed a bear. Davis saw Mac hiding inside the cave, and he spoke to him quietly. Mac apologized for killing the bear and was scared. He came out of the cave, and Davis surprised him with his size, and then brought him back in. Meanwhile, Connor told everyone via the radio to come to the gorilla forest. Connor and Amy arrived and showed Davis a sample of CRISPR, but they don't yet know what this material is. The scene moved to Chicago, where Claire, the director of Enogen, is the same director who spoke to Atkins at the beginning. Her brother Brett was angry about the loss of samples, but Claire reassured him and told him that the 3 specimens had already landed on the ground and showed him news that 3 meteorites had fallen. We have to go to these 3 places and get the samples back, she told him. She told him that she would contact a military company to take over the task of bringing samples. We saw the military division preparing and launching a plane towards the place where the first specimen fell at the herd of wolves. Upon arrival, they found the sample empty. Let Claire know. At the same time, they discovered that all the wolves in the area were killed, and it was clear that one wolf killed them all. Claire realized that that wolf was exposed to CRISPR, ordered him to be arrested alive or dead. The military team began the chasing process, and they were able to see the wolf moving behind the trees. They shot him and thought he was killed, but when they entered the forest in search of his body, they found nothing but saw very huge footprints. Suddenly the wolf attacked them and killed one of them, and then quickly returned to kill another. They tried to shoot him, but he was too fast. They realized that they were all going to die, and indeed only Barak was left of them. He saw the bodies of all his colleagues dead, so he ordered his plane companion to come to save him. He ran quickly towards the plane, the wolf chasing him. The soldiers from the plane shot the wolf, but he jumped high into the air with its huge size, and then destroyed the plane's helicopter. The plane crashed and crashed completely. The wolf attacked and killed Barak. Meanwhile, Davis had locked Mac in a cage. while Nelson conducted an analysis of Mac's blood. Davis was shocked by the result. It showed that growth hormone rose strangely in his blood, and this explains why its volume increased. Nelson said, "This is no longer the Mac we know. We have to inform the government because it has become a danger to us." But Davis rejected the idea for fear that the government would kill him. He stood in front of Mac and promised him that he would look for the truth to understand what happened. Then we get to know a scientist named Kate. She previously worked at Energen and saw the news about the spacecraft crash and the fall of samples to the ground, including a sample that fell in the San Diego reserve. Also saw news about the gorilla Mac and his killing of the bear. Decided to go to the reserve. When I arrived, I met Davis and told him I was working at Energen and I was doing research on the CRISPR material that influenced Mac. Davis took her to the cage where Mac was being held and told her that his weight had gained 40 kilos in just one day. He asked her for an explanation of what was happening. Explained to him that CRISPR is a mixture of DNA of different animals such as sharks, whales and leopards, and this is what made Mac grow very fast and become aggressive. She stressed that she was the only one capable of treating him. Suddenly, Mac got nervous and broke the cage and ran away. He went out to the reserve, spreading panic among the people, then rushed into the street and destroyed one of the cars with one blow. People panic when they see a gorilla of this size. The police arrived to shoot him, but Davis intervened and said to them, "I am the specialist in dealing with the gorillas. I will control the situation. Put down your weapons." Talk to Mac using sign language until he calms down a bit. The officers responded and cut down their weapons, but suddenly one of the officers from the plane fired an arrow containing a sedative that hit Mac, and he fell unconscious. At night, US detectives arrested Davis and Kate, accusing them of experiments conducted on Mac. The two met with the agent Russell, who arrested Mac and demanded a full explanation for everything that happened. Davis asked him to check on Mac immediately. So Russell mocked him, saying that he was befriending a gorilla and spending time with him. After that, the police transported the three on a plane. Davis noticed that Mac's wounds were healing on their own, so Kate told him that the reason was that CRISPR contained the nucleic acid of an African mouse capable of regenerating its cells. Russell entered them, and Davis explained to him that transporting Mac on the plane was dangerous for all their lives. But Russell ignored his words and said, "The gorilla is under the influence of a strong drug, and he will not wake up now." Russell began questioning Kate about CRISPR and told her, "There is another wolf named Ralph who has been subjected to the material." He showed them a video showing its huge size. Davis defended Mac, saying, "It's not his fault for what happened. We need to treat him, and Kate will be able to do it because she was working at Energen." But Russell revealed the truth. Kate was working there, but she was fired 2 years ago and spent 13 months in prison after stealing some data. Davis was shocked and asked her, "Can you really save Mac?" "No, I can't," she replied apologetically. Davis got frustrated and lost confidence in her. On the other hand, Claire learned that Kate had arrested her, but she suspected that Kate might provide the police with evidence condemning Energen. Claire began to think of a plan to get rid of it. Climb to the roof of the company's headquarters, where there is a device that emits radio waves. The function of this device is to attract the three animals towards the building. Her plan was that the army would kill the animals when they arrived, and then she would get DNA from them to sell it for millions of dollars. That way you'll also get rid of Kate, because Mac will destroy the plane when it's attracted to radio waves. Claire started the device, so Ralph felt the waves and stopped destroying the cars, and headed towards their source. While Lassie, the mutant crocodile, also began to move towards the waves. Mac, who was under the influence of sedatives, had begun to move after feeling those waves. He was able to wake up from the effect of the sedatives, so he tired and destroyed the cage and freed from it. The officers shot him, but the bullets did not affect him, so he killed them all and began to destroy the place. No one could stop him, until Russell took out a powerful weapon and shot him, but Mac grabbed him and threw him to the ground easily. Davis managed to free himself and spoke to Mac quietly, and managed to calm him down. But when the officers shot him again, Mac was very angry and hit the officer, and the ammunition exploded and caused an explosion on the plane. The fall and crash of the plane has become a matter of time. Davis and Kate tried to be cohesive, while Mac was heading towards them trying to kill them, but a car fell on him and drove him away from them. Then Davis and Kate took the umbrellas, and Davis took Russell, who was unconscious, with him. They opened the parachutes and jumped to escape the plane crash. The plane crashed completely, and Mac looked like he was dead inside. Davis was saddened thinking that his friend had finished, but when he landed, he did not find Mac's body, but saw his footprints, which means that he survived and fled. Russell thanked Davis for saving him and told him that the detectives were heading to Energen to investigate Claire. On the other hand, Claire was frustrated after learning that Kate had survived. Detective officers arrived at the company's headquarters to search it, so Claire allowed them to search everything. They began searching the laboratory, while Claire told Officer Park that Kate was responsible for everything that had happened, and that it was the reason why animals appeared on the streets recently. So Claire acquitted herself and threw all the charges at Kate. We go back to Davis and Kate, where Kate apologizes to Davis for lying to him. He responds to her by saying, "This is the nature of man. He lies to reach what he wants. Humans can do anything to fulfill their desires. And that is why I love animals, because they do not have the defects that humans have." Then Davis tells her that he participated in many wars to stop hunters who hunt animals. And in one of these wars in Africa, he found Mac hiding in a car and was still young, and he saw with his own eyes the hunters killing his father and mother to sell their fur for a lot of money. He said, "I arrived on time and saved Mac." Kate replied, "You're right. There are many people who are not good, but not all of us are. Although humans killed Mac's parents, he trusted you and loved you." Then she explains to him why she invented CRISPR and says, "My goal with this article was to save animals in the Arctic from extinction, as well as to save my brother from death, because he got cancer and there was no possible treatment to save him, but I was sure that CRISPR would save him. Claire came to me and asked me to work in her company, but she lied to me and stole CRISPR, material from me to make the DNA of animals a weapon for her. And when I tried to destroy the material, I was charged with theft and put me in jail. While I was in prison, my brother died and I couldn't say goodbye to him." Davis is touched by her words and begins to trust her again. While Russell was communicating with one of the detectives to come to pick them up, and a little later, the detectives arrived and took them to the army headquarters. And there they met Colonel Blake. Russell said to him, "We need help from Davis and Kate, because Davis is from the Lord of Mac, and Kate was working at Energen, which made the material that turned animals into huge creatures." The army began to follow the movements of Mac and Ralph, and they were moving quickly towards the city of Chicago. Davis was surprised how two different animals moved together in one direction, and Kate said, "Because there is something that calls them," as she put the DNA of a bat in CRISPR, and the bat is attracted to the sound it calls. She added, "I'm sure Claire wanted to make a radio device to attract animals to her, and it seems that she succeeded. So Mac and Ralph will do anything to reach the signal and turn off the radio." Davis said, "We have to conduct an evacuation of the city of Chicago. These animals, no matter how much we shoot, nothing will happen to them because they renew their cells." But Colonel Blake rejected the opinion, believing that the army would be able to stop them. Then Davis and Kate said, "You will stay here because you are going to be questioned." The soldiers came and arrested them and took them out of the place. But Davis took Kate and they entered the corridor, and one of the soldiers caught up with them, so they tried to stop them. Davis said to them, "Advice from me, do not stand in my face, because I will strangle you to death, and you too. I will throw you to the ground easily." They didn't listen to his words. So Davis beat them and lost consciousness, then moved with Kate in search of a way to escape. The two found a plane and were about to board it, but Russell reached them. Davis said to him, "We should stop Mackin anyway. The army will not succeed." Kate added, "Certainly Claire has a serum to stop animals, and we have to get it before the animals make a mess in Chicago." Russell was convinced by their words and said, "You saved my life, so I have to help you both." Then he gave them a phone to contact him. Davis and Kate boarded the plane and began to move, while the army threw bombs at Mac and Ralph, sending the soldiers to make sure they were dead. But of course their expectations were disappointed, as the animals remained alive and the soldiers were killed, shocking Colonel Blake, ordering the immediate evacuation of Chicago and sending the strongest private squad to it. Russell informed Davis of what had happened, but Davis realized that the army would not be able to get all the civilians out before the monsters reached the city. As soon as they arrived, they saw army vehicles and buses carrying people, but in a few seconds the animals arrived, and with them the destruction began to sweep the city. Buildings were shaking and shattering, and military vehicles and pilots were destroyed. The army opened fire on them with the most powerful weapons, but no one was able to stop them. What made matters worse was that the army discovered that a third monster was approaching, the Lizzie crocodile. Lizzie came out of the water revealing himself, and everyone was stunned, as they couldn't control only two. So how will they deal with three? The army soldiers began to shoot all kinds of weapons at Lizzie, but to no avail, as he beat them with his man as if they were just insects. The three monsters, Mac, Ralph and Lizzie, came together and began to spread the destruction in the city mercilessly. Then Davis realized that nothing would stop them except the serum. Meanwhile, Colonel Blake ordered the nuclear bomb. Russell said to him, "This bomb, if fired, will erase Chicago from the map." But Davis and Kate had arrived in the city and went looking for a way to stop the monsters. "All we need is for you to make the way for them." But Blake remained, rejecting any plan he did not develop, especially after learning that Davis and Kate had fled the interrogation. He ordered to get Russell out of the place. Russell already went out, and there he met an officer from the detective, who told him that the inspection teams reviewed all of the Energen servers except one server that they could not open because the secret number was in the possession of Claire. At that moment, Russell decided to head to Chicago. Davis and Kate arrived at the headquarters of Energen and started looking for anything that could help them. Realizing that her plan had failed and that there was no longer a way to stop the animals, Claire decided to run away with her brother. But through the cameras, she saw Davis and Kate inside the building. Kate was able to reach the serum and took 3 samples of it. But suddenly Claire came in with Brighton and said to them, "This serum will not return the animals to their original size, but will only make them less aggressive." The samples were then taken at gunpoint. Davis tried to stop her, but she shot him in the leg and he fell unconscious, while she took Kate with her by force. Meanwhile, the 3 monsters reached the same building. Claire and her brother were about to board the plane to escape, but before they got on, Mac appeared. Brighton tried to escape, while Mac destroyed the plane's tail. Davis then managed to save Kate at the last minute before she was killed. Kate said to him, "I thought you were dead." He replied, "The bullet did not hit a dangerous place. I took out a second serum sample for him," and he said to her, "So our goal now is to take Mac's serum in any way, and then help us in the face of Ralph and Lizzie." At the same time, Mac was destroying the radio. Claire returned and raised the gun towards them. So Davis instructed Mac to distract her so that Kate could move. Kate understood the plan, so she shot Claire and took the serum and hid it in her bag. Mac grabbed the bag and put it in his mouth and swallowed it, and so he got the serum. After 10 minutes, the effect of the serum began to appear on him, so he became calmer and less aggressive. Downstairs, Brighton had descended to the ground floor, carrying the laptop and experiment, files to complete his work later. But Russell arrived and stopped him. Russell noticed that the debris was falling in the street, so he had an idea. He said to Brighton, "Give me the computer and the trial files and I'll let you out of here and I won't catch you." Brighton agreed, but as soon as he went out, a rock fell on him that ended his life. On the other hand, Davis and Kate were forced to board a plane, whose tail was destroyed as Lizzie continued to smash the building, so it began to collapse and fall on them. The plane crashed with the building, but they managed to get out of it alive. Then they noticed that there were civilians who had not yet escaped. Mac came out from under the rubble, and the effect of the serum had begun. So he became calmer and re-identified Davis, which reassured him that he had returned as an ally of them. But Ralph and Lizzie were still alive, continuing to destroy. Meanwhile, the planes carrying the mother bomb appeared to approach. Davis told Kate, "You should deliver a message to Russell to stop the bomb firing. There are still civilians in the city," he added. "Mac and I will take care of facing monsters," while Davis was coordinating with Mac to fight. The battle began, and Mac managed to hit Lizzie with an iron rod, then quarreled with Ralph and threw him away. But Ralph was able to fly, so he took advantage of that and returned to attack him. Davis noticed that Lizzie was approaching, so he shot Ralph to tease him until he left Mac and attacked him. The plan worked, bumping into Ralph Blasey, who pounced on him and cut off his head. But Lazy remained so strong, even Davis's shots didn't affect her. She went to chase him and surrounded him, and almost killed him, but Mac came in and saved him. He clashed with her fiercely, but her strength was far beyond his strength. She grabbed him by the leg, trying to kill him, and Davis threw a bomb in her ear. The bomb exploded and lost her balance for seconds, but she gathered her strength and hit Davis with her tail. But Mac repelled the blow. Mac hit an iron skewer that pierced his body, yet he tried to stand up to Lizzie, but his upper hand was hers. Davis found a nearby military plane, so he got on it and opened fire on it to force it to leave. Mac. He got closer to her and fired the missiles at her at a short distance, but she was not affected. Lizzie almost pounced on Davis to end his life, but Mac came in again and hit her with an iron in the eye, until he finally managed to kill the giant alligator. Colonel Blake saw what happened and understood that Mac was on their side, so he ordered the cancellation of the mother bomb. Mac was so exhausted, so Davis approached him and said, "You saved me from death, and thanks to you we saved the city." He reached out to shake his hand, but Mac didn't breathe after that and fell dead. Davis was shocked, and Kate came to comfort him. "You saved millions of lives." As the parents hugged each other, Mac suddenly moved his hand, and it turned out that he was joking with Davis. Davis chuckled with joy, because he was still alive, and the movie ended. Don't forget to like if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of videos and you want it to continue.